The national and international news is in 10 minutes here on ITV, after the news from your area.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Hill. This is the ITV News in London. The so-called bedroom tax faced fresh opposition today as a demonstration was held in the capital calling for it to be repealed. The protest marks exactly 1 year since the benefit changes came into law. Recent figures show that families affected by the policy in London lose more money each week than in any other part of the country. James Banks reports.
The removal of the spare room subsidy, as it's officially known,
the bedroom tax is a failure,
is as controversial now as it's ever been.
We're out here today to say enough is enough and we want an end to this policy now.
And why are we at this spot?
This is apparently the most expensive residence in the world. We need to start pointing the finger where it really, really matters, and that's at the very, very wealthy bankers and tax avoiders, and stop attacking vulnerable people.
People like Carol, who's lost a quarter of her housing benefit as she has 2 spare rooms.
My eldest daughter, who is now 40, has 4 children and a husband and is terminally ill with cancer. So I've been trying to support them, and I also live with my dependent adult son. Had it not been for those rooms in my home, I wouldn't have been able to be looking after my grandchildren.
For these reasons, she is eligible at the moment for extra help. A short-term solution, which means she says she's always concerned about her future.
You have the worry of thinking you're going to lose your home and not knowing where you'll go.
Now, the Department for Work and Pensions say that the number of Londoners affected by the policy has decreased by 13% since it was introduced 12 months ago, and that it saves the taxpayer around £1 million a day. But not everybody agrees with those figures.
It's certainly not saving the people here money, who are getting into terrible, terrible debt, who are going without heating, who are going without food to try and pay their rent.
So whilst the government say less Londoners are now affected, those who are seem to be losing more than most, although they haven't lost their will to fight. James Banks, ITV News, Knightsbridge.
A convicted mafia boss has been rearrested by West London police just a month after he avoided extradition. Domenico Rancadore, who's known as the Professor, was detained after a fresh European arrest warrant was received from Italy. He's been living in Uxbridge with his family for 20 years under a false name. And a man has been jailed for 15 weeks for stealing a kitten on Christmas Day. 31-year-old James Boyce stole 10-month-old Mercy from a Colindale flat to give to his mother as a gift. He was charged with burglary and threatening behaviour. Mercy is now back home with her rightful owner. Well, it was a good day for London clubs in the Premier League today. Let's take a look at the sport.
London News Sports Reports, sponsored by WeWantAnyCar.com, the Cash for Cars website.
Fulham's 2-1 win against Aston Villa gave them renewed hope of avoiding relegation this season. Crystal Palace also won 3-0 against Cardiff, and Chelsea have just kicked off at home against Stoke. The match is still goalless, but a win could see them reach the top of the table ahead of front-runners Liverpool. In the Championship, Charlton lost to Reading, Millwall clinched an away win against Nottingham Forest, and Watford drew with Burnley. Well, now let's take a look at the forecast for the rest of the weekend. Here's James Wright.
A short break, whatever the weather. ITV London Weekend Weather, sponsored by Centre Parks.
Oh there, good evening. We've had some nice bright weather around today, but it was certainly a cloudier end, and over the next few hours we're going to see a fair bit of rain heading towards us. We have to wait until next week until things really settle down once again. There's that big curl of cloud that brought cloud across the capital as we headed through the afternoon. There's going to be more proper rain on the system that's tucked in behind it, and yet more rain as we head into Monday, but we'll talk about that in a moment. As far as tonight goes then, first proper band of rain moves across the capital. It's still going to remain mild overnight, remaining in double figures, lows of 12 Celsius. Some of this rain could be on the moderate side, but generally we're only expecting it to be fairly light. Tomorrow morning, more of the damp stuff around and about. This rain is going to wax and wane through the day. In fact, it could be a little bit patchy in nature, so by the time we get to the boat race, there is a chance that it will be dry, but I'm afraid to say most likely to be a wet one. Temperatures, well, that's not doing too badly at all, 14 to 16 Celsius. Another band of rain heads our way on Monday, but then dries out after that. Tuesday and Wednesday, not looking too bad. Warm by day, could be a little bit chilly by night.
ITV London Weekend Weather, sponsored by Centre Parks.
A bit disappointing. And finally, nearly 2 years after London 2012, the Olympic Park has now fully opened its doors to the public. Acrobats and performers mark the official opening, along with a parade of local school children. Attractions where guests can relive their memories of the Games include the famous Orbit statue, which has now opened as a viewing platform. And that's all from the London team for now, but don't forget you can look up what's been happening in our capital on our website itv.com/London. We'll be back tomorrow at 6:20. Until then, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.